We should be looking towards what the Africans are attempting, which is a code of ethics for media owners. And I think that's a great idea. Again, not prohibiting businessmen from taking over media or even choosing to take sides, but at least making where they stand transparent.
Most of the work on election coverage has been, well, watch government media because government media will never give a level playing field. Well, we found out that in the Philippines, even where you have a free press system, there is still no real playing field because media will favor the incumbent, media will favor certain types, certain kinds of politicians that feed into the media need to have color, to have someone who's quick with a soundbite, and may not really have anything to do with the capacity to govern, to bring intelligence to the process of governance.
I think the main thing in covering an election is to try to focus on the policy questions before readers. It's very tempting to spend a lot of time on personalities and to mock one candidate for the awkward way he speaks or praise another candidate because he's great at some particular hobby or something, but that's not what the election is about. It's not really about people, even though people are the standard bearers in elections. They're about policies. One thing journalists can do is make sure that in their own newsrooms they have people who represent all the points of view that are present in the election. We really can't have a newsroom that all comes from one political party or all comes from a particular background if we purport to be objective news media. When we put out stories, video, photos, we should be watching social networks to see how people react, and they can show us biases that we may not have been conscious of.
It's good old-fashioned journalism as I remember it, which is actually get out of the office, leave your computer, go onto the streets, talk to people, interview people, set up little groups of different types of people with different types of interests, find out what they think, bring them together, allow these voices to be heard. Make sure that you're not reporting only the press releases that are being issued by the political parties and so on. Go out, talk to people, meet with people, set up opportunities for people to express themselves. Make sure that you're covering people of all social class and standing inside society. So do that, and I think you'll get much closer to how people see an election and what they think about it.
The journalist bodies, the broadcasters organizations, even the executives of television channels and newspapers, we all sat together with Election Commission of Pakistan and evolved a consensus charter how we will conduct these elections so that we would give equitable, not equal necessarily, equitable coverage, and not we will be biased to any political candidate or political party.
It's also a question of mindset. I think very often, and journalism training can do a lot there, very often the approach tends to be, oh, there's an important press conference, candidate X is making an announcement, we got to be there, and then afterwards we ask a couple of people and that's it. Very often, there's other ways of doing this, of looking at what are the main issues that candidate X has covered, what are people in villages X, Y, and Z are feeling about this, what are different groups thinking about this, and so on. That does require a bit more effort, and very often that does require a few more people. So it is very important that editors, as they're planning for an election, try and make that one of their focus areas, to say we don't just want to look at all the press conferences, we want to talk to different people from different parts of our city, country, whatever our coverage is. As you prepare for your own editor, as you prepare for the election, right at the start, explain what you're going to do, and then think about how you can engage with different groups that may have particular interests or represent particular stratas of society, and engage with them already at the start, saying, look, what are the big issues for you for this election? And then as the campaign progresses, you can come back to them. Have their big issues been taken up?
It runs through a journalist's blood to be critical to power. And that's the way it is, and that I think is the way it should be. And some politicians will be tempted to call that biased because they don't always like the questions we ask.
it's no longer the government that's a big threat to the media, free media, but it's the owners. And of course, it's not direct, because if we do have in our code of ethics that no one can interfere with freedom of the press, including the owners. Yeah. But you need a brave journalist to report to us, to the press council, that this has happened, in order for this to be effective.